All right, this is Saddleborn Podcast. I am Sadie Schick.
I'm Michelle Filippini.
And today we are interviewing Jon Griggs. Say hi, Jon.
Hi, Jon. Good morning. Great to be with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's get started in my favorite place. I start everybody off here. I want to hear, where'd you come from? Are you born in Nevada?
I was born in Nevada, born in Reno at Stead. Well, my dad was at Stead Air Force Base, and my mom had recently graduated from UNR, and they met there. And they lived there for a few years, and then I was an Air Force kid for, most of my growing up. So moved around a lot. But my grandparents were from this area. My grandma was born on a ranch in Bruno, Idaho. When I was, 11, 12 years old, they went to work for the Patan Ranch, running the company store. They had retired from the reservation in Hawaii. My grandma was a school teacher and my grandpa was a maintenance man. They retired. They went to that store. I spent my summers with them, and I couldn't get Nevada out of my blood. Went to college at University of Idaho. I ended up leaving to go back to the Patan Ranch. Hired on as a cowboy, and 40 years later, I haven't learned anything. Here I am.
I was wondering what lit the fire. So your grandparents were kind of the ones then,
Yeah.
right? So
Plus the community around them. Ranching community, for me, for growing up as a military kid, moving a lot, I always struggled. I always struggled. I never, I just kind of get a set of friends and move, start all over. But, and military culture is a little different than our Western culture. We're really family oriented, and kids mean a lot, and kids are always underfoot. And it seemed like, at least in my experience, that in the military culture, adults did their thing, and the kids were, hey, get out.
Gotcha.
Go do your thing.
Gotcha.
So I always really appreciated that. I appreciated, as I aged and spent summers on a hay crew and spent summers on a cowboy crew. Didn't matter your age, didn't matter what you wore, brand names or whatever. If you could do the job, you got respect. And if you tried, even if you could do the job, if you were trying and hustling and doing what you could be respected like anybody else. And that really stuck with me.
How long did you work at the Patan Ranch for?
I think, I don't remember how old you had to be to be paid, but it had to be like 13, 14. I started on the hay crew. And summers all the way through like 20 years old. And I think 20 years old, moved over to the cowboy crew and worked there 3 or 4 years. Worked on a ranch outside of Eureka, between here and Eureka, Nevada, Warm Springs Ranch. Worked there 3 or 4 years, and then went to Maggie Creek. Some, whatever that math is, 34 years ago.
And still at Maggie Creek today.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
So you are the manager of Maggie Creek Ranch.
Started there as a cowboy and worked my way down to manager.
Yeah.
Yep.
So growing up, did you have someone who kind of took you under their wing, kind of get you trained up, or was it you learned a little bit from everybody?
I learned a little bit from everybody. I definitely had people I looked up to all my life. Good cowboys and cowgirls and stockmen that I really looked up to and learned a lot from. But like later in my life, probably a name that sticks out for me is Roy Shanson. He was a cowboy at Red House Ranch, part of Maggie Creek Ranch. Just the best guy, and old school cowboy and a good cowman. And I learned a lot from him. Learned a lot from him about how to work people, how to be a boss or things like that. So yeah, I think about that guy a lot.
Yeah.
How long ago did he pass away?
2 years.
Oh.
Yeah, his birthday's January 2nd, so he's got a birthday coming up. But 2 years ago, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Kind of leave a hole, don't they? Yeah.
It does, yeah. And he was in a nursing home, and I called him and said, I'm just sitting here in God's way, dude.
Oh, can't believe it came back.
That was his kind of humor, a little bit dark, but very funny.
When you started out, so you were working kind of in the summers then as a kid,
Yep.
and then what did you go to college for?
I went for range and livestock management. I had a few kind of career paths. I wanted to be a pilot like my dad was for a while. But when I left University of Idaho, I was range and livestock management. I wanted to be a manager. And it just wasn't in the cards for me. And at that time in Moscow, Idaho, the drinking age was 19.
Not a good, yeah.
Not ideal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was probably best I went to work, and it probably lengthened my career path to ranch manager, but I still got there, and I wouldn't trade anything.
You're living your dream now.
I am. Yeah.
The days of drinking at 19 still like
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, drinking at 62 hits a whole lot harder.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's
fine.
okay. I'll
Everything's
still
fine.
try.
Yeah.
Wake up with a larger headache.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So you go to Moscow. After that, you come back down working for the Bataan again after that?
Yep.
Gotcha. And then, so when you were taking those range and livestock management, were there any things that they kind of covered in that course that, like, you reflect back on, like, oh, that was a good thing to know, or
That you still use
Do
today.
you remember that part about drinking?
yeah. Okay, so that's gone. Okay, just
I
curious.
remembered that.
Yeah.
No. You know, it's interesting that my daughter Mackie graduated from University of Idaho with pretty much the same degree. You know, they change what they call them, but pretty much the same degree. And I've learned a lot from her. And you know, a lot of the things, especially for us Nevadans, where you're likely to have some public lands component. We need a lot of what we got, what I could have gotten there. I need a lot of that. You know, we need to know how to talk to agency folks, not only like BLM or Forest Service, but Fish and Wildlife Service, and Nevada Department of Wildlife. We need to know how to talk to those folks and know what they're talking about, and how to find common ground and understand what their goals are, and help them to understand what our goals are. And I would have been a lot farther ahead if I was stuck with it at University of Idaho.
I've noticed that on some things, like if you go to talk to like anything really, like going to a bank or applying for a loan or talking to the government agencies, you have to know how to frame the question. Because if you don't ask the right question, then you're not going to get to what you're aiming at, I guess.
Very, very well said. That's exactly right. That's, anything.
Interesting. So, so it's interesting that you said Mackie's kind of learning that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So John was the president of the Cattlemen's Association Club 2 years ago. Are you still involved in it today?
Yeah, I am. I'm no longer past president, past president, but I'm still on the executive committee. And so my involvements shrank to, like a call a month maybe, but I still try to know what's going on. It behooves all of us to know what's going on. So I try to keep a finger in it.
Could you explain maybe to us, like, what does Nevada Cattlemen's do? Like, what's the goal of it?
Yeah.
Because before I knew anything, I thought it was like, oh, it's a club of friends,
There's that perception
about
out
cows.
there. Yeah, that's fair. There's that perception out there.
But I'm finding out more, it's a little more of a political thing too, right? You're
It's
supposed to advocate.
very much more a political organization. The mission statement is, I might get it wrong, but to promote a profitable and dynamic Nevada beef industry. I believe. Pretty close to that. Pretty much political organization, though. It is incredible. Even now in Nevada, you think our state legislators ought to know what we're doing. They don't, and they can cause us trouble without even trying. And then there's those that try, and it's amazing to me that for relatively small organization, 1,000 members maybe, the power that we have, because whether it's those state legislatures or our national, our congressional delegation, the phone to our office is always ringing. Hey, what do you guys think about whatever they want? Yeah, they want to know what direction to go and
find an authority on it, right?
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and there's definitely some politicians that don't do that, but for the most part, I've been impressed with both parties. How maybe they won't do what you don't do, but at least they'll know why. They find out why, and they'll know the consequences of their actions, and they'll have to tell you. Sometimes they don't tell you, but have to tell you, well, we're not doing that. But for the most part, for no more people than we represent, even take people that are not members, we're really a small percentage of the population. That's Nevada Rangers. Through the association, the sway we have and the power that we have to at least not get hurt and hopefully better ourselves is always been incredible.
Yeah.
How do you become a member?
You go to www.nevadacattlemen.org.
Oh, really?
Yep, sign up.
Oh, and you just sign up. So not everybody has the same view when you become a member.
Absolutely not. Yeah, and we're a diverse organization, and part of that diversity is, what we think here in Oakland County doesn't always pertain to Washington
Okay.
or Clark County, but also, we tend to be cow-calf folks around here. There's stalker folks, the next step in the process, and there's a few, not a lot of feedlots in Nevada, but there is a few feedlot folks, that feed cattle in a confined environment. Their thinking is different than what we might think too. But it's the thing that I love about the organization is we get together, we work on policy. What's our policy going to be? This is our issue. What's our policy going to be? And, there will be a pretty widespread view on what that can be. And you guys can know how it is just wherever you are in the Lamoille Valley. Rancher to rancher might have definitely two different ideas on any subject. So we can vary quite a bit, but we work on it pretty hard. We hammer it out. At the end of the day, I might not agree with everything 100%, but it's probably 70%. And it's probably good enough that we can forge ahead with this common vision.
Okay. So if you were to go to a meeting this month, I don't know, when you guys meet, what would be your guys' top topic right now to speak on in the cattle world?
Well, we just had our convention a couple weeks ago here in Elko.
It's been a hot couple weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We want to hear some of it.
Yeah.
Well, definitely Mr. Trump and his mean tweets. Those are kind of up there. That sent the futures market spiraling, which affects all of us in some fashion.
Which makes us think, how do we shelter ourselves from just a message put out on social media?
Yeah,
we shouldn't have that much variation, you would hope.
Yeah, and this is the thing about a strong organization. At the national level, there's National Cattlemen's Beef Association. They do a good job of getting Mr. Trump and all those people and saying, a lot of this wasn't right. And here's where you were wrong. And this is what you did to our markets. And we saw how effective that was, and backed off some of his, what I brought in from the crowd, backed off a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And markets moderated and pulled back a little bit from. I don't think as far as Argentine beef and Brazilian beef, I don't think that he ever meant to bring enough Argentine beef in to really hurt us. But obviously the markets didn't know that because
they panicked.
It
felt like, right? Yeah.
So, putting some real numbers to that absolutely helped, and, those kind of things. But so that's high on the list. We're a public lands ranch, so any kind of public lands issue is a big issue for us. And right now, there's grazing regulations being reworked by the Bureau of Land Management, and those will have a big impact on us one way or the other. And I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. I haven't seen the first version of it or the version that they're coming out with now, but we have people in Washington, D.C. that we Nevadans have faith in, that I like to think are going to do us a good job.
It feels like I'm an optimist to begin with, but it
You
feels
and me
really optimistic
You and me both.
right now looking at things that I didn't think I would see a politician come out of their mouth
Right.
that they've mentioned. And I'm like, wow, they're actually listening
Yeah.
and paying attention to issues,
Mhm.
which it's hard to get, I feel, because we're such a small portion of the population,
Yeah.
but we feed the majority of the population, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm glad
It's
they're
amazing.
listening.
It's amazing when you say that, talking about Nevada Cattlemen's Association. I can't tell you how many times I've heard out of a politician's mouth words that were put there by Martin Paris, our executive director, or current president, verbatim.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me feel good that we have that kind of impact.
Yeah.
I'm speaking more towards the bureaucrats though.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we're talking about a grazing regulation, those will be career politicians, career staffers that are doing that.
Oh, okay.
And and we have some influence there that I'm pretty proud of and pretty happy that we do, and I think we'll come out okay.
Mm-hmm. I saw, I did see an interview with like Secretary Rawlings,
Mm-hmm.
and things that came out. I'm like, that's my secretary. I was very happy.
Good.
So we'll see if anything comes of them, because that's the catch, right? But it was just nice to hear him acknowledge certain things.
Yes.
And so
that's not an accident either.
Yeah,
she didn't have a whole lot of experience with the beef industry and how our markets work and how our production works. So hearing the right things out of her, that's not an accident.
Yeah.
People helped her.
Yeah. And so I got to hear her talk about that. I heard her talk about she kind of has like a background in monopolies. Mm-hmm. And so she talked about the beef packers, which I'm not anti-packer, but I am for sure pro food security. Yeah. And so she just mentioned that maybe it's a problem to look into, that it's owned by two of the biggest packers are not domestically owned, you know? And that was nice to hear, to at least look into it, you know?
I completely agree. Bears looking into it. And I think how they got there, I often wonder about it. I mean, I'm a free market guy, and I believe in capitalism, and I believe you can sell what you want to sell, and somebody can buy it.
And you have a right to make money, right?
Exactly.
I do believe in that.
I think in the Packers and Stockyards Act, I think it could be interpreted that foreigners should not be owning our packing plants. I think that interpretation is in there. I could be totally off base, but it's a concern, I think.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, for us, we don't realize what big competition Brazil and Argentina could be, especially Argentina, but Brazil as well.
Yeah.
And for Brazilian packers to control that much of our production, that's a fair concern, I think.
Like, just from the research I've been doing lately, I noticed, like, that seems a little concerning. And then I kind of wondered, like, how did we get to this part? Previously, not having to bring as many imports in, but now we're pretty dependent on those beef imports, as we've already seen. Yeah. Cutting them back did a lot to our market. Did we get there because it's easier to import now? Like rations, you know?
This is a good thing to talk about right now. So from the packers, from our politicians, you're hearing there's a shortage of cattle, shortage of beef. No, there's not a shortage. What's happening is there's enough cattle here, but our export market pretty much went away. We have almost no export matter. There is a shortage of lean beef. We're not killing enough cows. Cows make lean beef that goes into the grind for the most part. So there's not a shortage of cattle. There's a shortage of lean beef to make grind. So we are up in imports, but it's mostly that. The money cuts are pretty much ours, American beef.
Could that be from like change in breeding? Like, are we raising more? Like, we had to push for Angus. We need more Brahma. Like, it's just cows.
No, it's because when you sell when a steer, almost 2-year-old steer goes into the packing plant, very little of that goes into lean grind.
Okay.
Or not enough of it. You can't, for the demand for burger and the demand for money cuts, and what the margins are on those, most of that steer is going to go into money cuts. And I'm oversimplifying. This is about how it goes. So, we have a big demand for burger, especially when consumers are paying what they are right now. Big demand for burger. We don't make, 80-20. 80-20 would be 80% lean, 20% fat. We can't make that with just the younger cattle that we're sending. We need those cold area cows. We need our cold cows.
Okay.
Well, there's not enough of them.
Oh, okay.
And especially market gets where it is, we're kind of the cycle high. We as producers don't have to sell enough as many calves to make ends meet or, to meet our expenses. So we can retain heifers to make more. That's kind of the market signal that we're getting right now. As we retain those heifers, that's even less cows that go into the grind.
Oh, okay.
So that's where, a lot of that Brazilian beef will come in. Maybe some of that Argentine beef, Australian beef, a lot of the imports, that's what they're doing. Yeah, and we're not talking just a lean steak. We're talking bits of lean from here, all over the carcass.
So if it wasn't for Americans wanting lean meat, we wouldn't even have to import.
If it wasn't for Americans wanting so much ground beef.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we do have enough cows, but they didn't want to eat ground beef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and maybe enough cows. Here I'm going out on a limb, but I would venture to say if we didn't export anything, we probably have enough.
Okay.
But that gets pretty complicated.
The exports, like for people to export out of the United States, a lot of them have to have like traceability. Is that so? It would be ranchers who have invested in that traceability. Their product can be exported, and so are they getting a higher premium for the exports?
Well, see, that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes. So the thing about it though is if they're not, they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
But so that's why I was kind of connecting why choose to export over if we need it here.
Yeah. So we're talking about programmed cattle, right? Cattle that don't go through a typical chain of like today we were shipping heifer calves that we sold out. They go on in production. When we talk about programmed cattle, we're talking about cattle like those heifers are individually ID'd. I either retain ownership all the way to the rail or all the way to the packing plant, or I sell them into a program like I'm drawing a blank, but there's a lot of them. Any kind of natural beef or agent source verified type thing, all programmed cattle. But one of the end users could be an export market. Like if you sell into Japan, every animal has to be individually ID'd, like you're saying.
And that's where those fancy little new ear tags, because they're pretty new, right?
Well, yeah, I've been around for a while, but really coming.
They're mandatory now on heifers for sure.
Yeah, when you bangs vaccinate, it used to be you get a steel bright tag. Now you have to have a plastic RFID tag. So here's the thing. So I know a thing you've been thinking about is a mandatory country of origin label.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's been on my mind a lot.
Yeah. I really want to hear about this.
Okay. I am not a proponent of mandatory country of origin label.
Okay.
For a few reasons, and not in any particular order, but when we're talking about those tags, we at Maggie Creek, we choose to tag our calves, steer and heifer.
Okay.
I better be able to justify that in a premium.
Okay, so someone else had given me that argument before, and so I'm really excited that you're bringing it up, because before, when I had been researching M-Pool, the only thing I could find against it was that it just didn't make a difference. And I finally had someone come with an actual argument that said because they invested in traceability, they should be able to capitalize off of that, essentially. And if you take that away, that makes it generic for everybody, is kind of how they phrased it.
I would offer the completely opposite viewpoint.
Okay, give it to me. Yeah.
Okay, so if I mandatory ID, I made that choice.
Yes.
I find the program to put them in, or even like calves this year, I can sell them as a GAP 4 certified, which that's a whole other thing we can talk about. But and then I can decide, well, I got a premium or I didn't, and if I don't like the premium, I don't have to do that. On the other end of that, you can buy United States beef right now, whether it's in a Whole Foods store, whether it's mail order, whether it's you have a locker beef and I buy it from you. And I know there's probably a few people that can't, just really remote, can't get mail, don't have a big store that carries some kind of programmed beef. But for the most part, most Americans can buy American beef, right?
Yeah, so if you want to buy an American sweater, you're only buying an American sweater until you find a label that says American on it.
Yeah.
But if you know that beef doesn't have an American label, you know basically it's not from America.
So
I can see the smoke. I can see the smoke.
So we have the opportunity to buy American beef, but if what's in the grocery store doesn't specify between the imported beef and the American, I think where I'm standing on it currently, we'll see if we can get my mind changed, but I think that if it's imported in, it should retain the label of the country it came from, not require Americans to label theirs differently because it's already here, right? So you can still get your premium because now you're looking at exports, right? You have that opportunity for those that have your IED tag. But for the ones coming in, I think I would prefer to have that differentiated. Like if it came in from Australia, I want it to say it's from Australia.
I could agree with you if we said that non-U.S. beef got a label that says not U.S. beef.
So all American beef is still labeled USA beef. Oh, so
No.
even the stuff that's
So here's the
I
problem.
think what I want is the foreign country labeled.
right.
Here's the problem, though. So if I sell into a program, and so I'll give an example that I'm familiar with. We were a part of Country Natural Beef for quite a while, which is a member-owned cooperative, and essentially so you can't own the cattle through the packing plant. Packing plants don't do custom beef.
Okay.
Large plants. Oversimplifying that too, but
That's okay.
so we'd sell at the front door. We'd sell cattle at the front door of the packing plant, buy them at the back door.
Okay.
And so essentially, Country Natural Beef, rancher owned right into the meat case. And in that cooperative, every rancher commits to a few days in the store. So not only do you know you can tell right where that steak came from, but you have a chance to meet the person that made it, raised it.
Yeah.
Comes at a premium. It's spending. I argue it's also pretty dang good beef because there's standards to it, and people that tend to go into a program like that have quality cattle. Spending. So that's an example of program beef. The problem, and I'm trying to keep it somewhat simple. This can be a very complicated subject, but think about pick any one of the big four, killing 5,000 head a day plus. How are they going to trace them? And when they trace them, how are they going to say that in this vat of grind were not only those 5,000, but they also imported lean from, a dairy kill plant or wherever? How are they going to keep those straight? Well, I don't, a lot of things that packers say, I'm not sure if I believe, but I believe them when they say it's going to cost them money to keep that straight.
To keep it traceable.
Yep. Who's going to pay that?
That's, yeah.
We're talking about who's going to keep straight that in I don't know what the statistic is, but it's like in X amount of pounds there might be 10,000 different animals. Who's going to keep that straight?
Okay, so the problem,
packing plant has to. It's going to come at a cost. Who's going to pay that cost?
Gotcha.
Well, we're in a cyclical commodity market, and when the market's against us, when there's a big pool of cattle for stockers, feeders, packers to use, and they can pick and choose, we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for them to keep it straight. Right now, when we're in the driver's seat, cattle supplies are tight. Imports, the Mexican cattle aren't coming in. Imports are a little bit tight too. Packers are having to compete for cattle. We're in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Packers, retailers, and consumers are going to pay to keep that straight.
So could we, it feels, this is mean, but could we push it to the imports to pay for that, to keep it straight? And then maybe just change, I'm not an expert on a packer, but certain days, okay, this day we take in imports, and on these days we do domestic cattle to maybe help keep it straight.
Well, I definitely think the logistics can be resolved.
Yeah, I feel like it could be a goal to work towards, maybe.
Regardless, I don't see a path. Well, there's two things about this. Firstly, I don't see a path where I don't get paid. I get paid a premium. Secondly, with program cattle, I can decide that I'm getting paid enough, or I can just go back to being commodity, generic.
Yeah.
If we have mandatory country of origin labeling, the goal there is to commodify everybody.
I don't want to commodify everybody. I just want, when it comes in across that border, I want to know that it came across the border,
Yeah.
So how do we reach that? And for me, the simplest answer seemed to be mandatory country of origin.
So I go back to how I started this. Virtually any American can buy American beef. I think the answer to that point is Americans have to say, we want to buy American beef. And when they do that, that market signal will make it resolve itself where all of our beef will be identified, and what's not, we'll know is not. So the thing that you don't so much hear about under mandatory country of origin labeling is that why is there such a big push for it? One of the reasons is right now program cattle cuts out the middleman.
Oh, okay. And so I'm not as familiar with how the commodity works. So it was news to me to hear that you kept it pretty much through production.
Mhm.
Like, because I thought you just sold them, but they had the button, so it's traceable.
Can do that too, and
Yeah.
now a lot of our cattle are doing that.
Oh, okay.
And with this too is when we're talking about packers, we've said we're not sure about foreign ownership of packers. We probably implied that we're not. Well, we could say scary having 4 major packers.
Yep.
And like when with IBP says we're closing the plant, boy, that's painful. Should be. That's scary. Thing though is historically, small to medium packers don't do well.
Yeah.
And because they can't keep a consistent supply of cattle to keep their doors open. Like in Oakland County, most of us are spring calvers. So, by the time they get to 12 to 1,500 pounds where we want to eat them,
Mm-hmm.
they're all within 3 or 4 months.
It's going to be a rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 or 4 months are better than hell.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Said that.
My ears.
And then the rest of the 8 or 9 months are starving to death.
Mhm.
Okay.
Their solution is like the plant that was maybe still in the works here,
Mm-hmm.
and partner with ranches to keep us constant supply of cattle.
Yeah.
A lot of people that makes them lose their minds. Captive supply. Can't have captive supply. Packers have captive supply, meaning those cattle, don't have true price discovery. So it's interesting to me that some of the same folks talk about we need to break up the packers. We need more smaller packing plants. All these things, which is good with me. We can't have captive. Oh God, we can't have captive supply. Can't have these program cattle. We can't partner with this local plant to keep them business.
Okay.
We've got to sell them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I see. So because you already, when you take them you own them when you take them to the packer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so you already have control of your price pretty much. So.
Well, yeah, to some extent. I mean, it's still a commodity, but we're in a pyramid-shaped market. When you get to that packing sector, it's a lot fewer, which means somewhat more control of what we're going to get priced. But yeah.
Do you think, I was thinking on who controls the price of beef, and I came to the conclusion that, do imports affect the price of beef? And if we do think it affects the price, then who buys the imports? And so I did some research into that.
You mean in the meat case?
Yeah, and to the ranchers, right?
To the ranchers. Okay.
So do we think that, I think it affects it across the board, an import, just off of my basic knowledge of supply and demand, right? So if the packers are who is controlling the imports, because they purchase the majority of imports, some of it is purchased by retail, but it's mostly the packers who are buying these imports, then it's a quick jump to say they're controlling our price of beef and what our calves sell for.
Part of it is that what they're importing, that lean component. When the market cycle is where there's a lot of cattle,
yes,
imports probably in that regard affect us more, because when we're thinking of a lot of that lean grind, that lean beef, that's competing with, we're having to sell cows to make ends meet type thing. Then it probably does impact our markets more. Right now, not so much.
Yeah, but we also have new tariffs and stuff too, which is kind of limiting our imports.
Yeah,
so they're not as accessible as maybe they were previously.
Limiting because they're making those imports on par or more than what we're providing domestically.
Yeah, like we know we have the tariff on Brazil, right? And so 2 of our packers are Brazilian owned. And so it makes me kind of reflect back on what cattle prices have been all through COVID, when we saw the price of beef go up everywhere except for the ranchers selling.
I think, I'm sure there's a lot to that. So certainly those black swan events during COVID, a packing plant burning down, and at any given time in a packing plant, I've heard several statistics, 19 languages being spoken at any given time. 19.
Wow.
Think about COVID, and you think about where those folks are from. A lot of them are, going right home to 20 or 30 in the household. What's COVID going to do there?
Oh, just run rampant. Yeah.
Yeah, and it turns out, people standing shoulder to shoulder, wielding a knife in a cold environment, that's a really good spot also to pass the bug. Yeah. Did they, did Packers use that to their advantage? Well, I mean, that's the way it ended up, right?
Yeah.
Just like you said.
Yeah.
Their margins during that time were the best they've ever been.
They had great margins, but we didn't see it really pass on.
No,
it wasn't
didn't have to
back.
because in the normal market sense, we were overproducing where we're underproducing now. So they had, as that market pyramids out, they had a lot of cattle to choose from. And so a lot of buying power. And then, that pyramid shape then unpyramids as it goes to the consumer. But they kept that bottleneck with those things, with plant burning down and with the COVID challenges. They kept that bottleneck, and that led to phenomenal margins.
Yeah. And I just worry, it makes you wonder, and obviously it's speculation, so we don't know what the answer would be, but if we didn't have the tariffs right now, would we even be seeing any prices? Or would they have just kept taking advantage of importing it? Would the pendulum have swung pretty much?
I think we are benefiting from those tariffs to some extent, but I don't think we'd see huge, especially at the cow-calf level. I don't think we'd see huge swings if we kept the same import quotas.
Oh, okay. Well, tariffs and I guess Mexican border.
Mexican border is a different story, and we are benefiting.
You want to go back?
But thinking about food security.
Yes, let's go.
I want to make one point to that. Which I raised a couple of kids, and it's a big deal to me too. And I want the people to eat our product to feel good about it. Our beef supply right now is secure. There is the import-export component, but if that were to go away, we would feed America. We would find a way. And to me, that's number one security. Is there enough food? There's enough food. Number two, is it safe? That's what I want to know. It is safe. I've been in more packing houses than I can count, touring, and I've seen production at all levels. It's a thing that I feel pretty strongly about. Even with those imports, it bothers me, the screwworm deal. It bothers me that we would open the border too soon with hoof and mouth disease in those South American countries. It bothers me that, what we're toying with, open that export market to. But at the end of the day, the beef that we're using, whether it's ours or imported, is safe.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is just kind of reading the cards a little bit, and I've seen where our imports have gone up over the last 20 years or so.
Yeah, they definitely fluctuate.
They definitely do. And so, the graphs I've seen, it's been an increase for a while, pretty much since the mad cow thing, right? We started bringing in a lot more imports then, and it kind of trajected up. And I don't want it to become that we become dependent on other countries for our food supply.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Currently, I think, yes, I agree. We can feed America. I just want to make sure we can keep feeding America.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The thing we haven't mentioned that plays into this too is we are definitely a trade ship. And be careful how I say it.
Yeah.
C-H-I-P, trade
My
ship.
ears!
Trade ship. Yeah, we're definitely a pawn in the whole global trading game. To our advantage and to our disadvantage as well, depending on how things work out. That's definitely a piece of it.
Yeah.
So that plays into.
Yeah.
And the other thing, then we'll quit this or I'll be ready to go with it.
We can keep going. I'm having fun. So
The other thing about the import-export market, so I've talked to you about what we're importing and how a lot of it's lean beef that we need for the grind.
mm-hmm.
What we're exporting is important too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is things that we don't like to eat.
Which would be delicacy.
I don't want to eat.
Yeah. In other countries, it would be a delicacy,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. And some of those good muscle cuts that, like when we were selling our through program to Japan,
Mm-hmm.
we were selling them some pretty nice steaks.
Mm-hmm.
If you do, one of the Wagyu programs, like Ecker Beef has, pretty nice steaks going that way. You make a lot of money off of. So,
Mm-hmm.
We don't hear enough about that, how that plays into our business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially if someone, like we talked about, if you invested in that traceability and now you have the opportunity to export to places like that, like you should get. That's a lot of extra work and extra dollars to be able to do that. So, yeah.
Let's talk beef checkoff.
Okay.
Want to?
Yes. So here's my question on it, and it's been killing me. I've been dying to know.
Okay.
So my question on beef checkoff. So what beef checkoff is supposed to be doing is education, right? Promotion. So it's kind of a marketing tool. Mm-hmm. And what was the other one? Research, right? Mm-hmm. And so the thing that I noticed when they repealed MCool and everybody was like wanting it, I was like, why didn't beef checkoff kind of take that over and have like their own little stamp of approval, because they could kind of follow through with traceability or something like that?
Well, that's one thing to that. Why did the last MCool fail?
So, do I need my tinfoil hat? So it got sued. It was the World Health Organization. They were getting sued, but we had joined them. They were suing because it was discriminatory to Canada or Mexico.
In 2015? That long ago?
Was it 14? Maybe it got repealed. So it was a while ago.
Right.
So from my understanding, they were being sued in the World Health Organization courts and domestically. It failed in the domestic courts, but they kept kind of pushing it through there.
Yeah.
Now this is the tinfoil hat part, is it was recommended by, I'll have to look up the name, but it was some senator, someone in politics, to repeal it. It gets repealed. Now the tinfoil hat part is he went to work for JBS right after. So
very fair. Yeah, very fair. I don't think that takes much tinfoil.
Yeah.
So think about the last version, and a thing to mention about a future version of MCool is, this is the thing about government. We tend to be, especially public land ranchers, we tend to be conservative, and we tend to be conservative, limited government, because even without a tinfoil hat, even great people in government, it gets so bloated.
You just can't get anything done.
And and the thing about it is when, whichever agency it is, when you're trying to make everybody happy, you end up making nobody happy. Mm-hmm. The last version of MCool, part of the challenge with it was a label could be made in the U.S. and other countries.
Okay.
The label could list
multiple
countries.
Okay.
Which I can see why the Packers wanted it that way, because, like we said, who knows?
It would make it easier for his vat.
So, well, I think there's, we got that one Australian.
Betsy's in this one. Yeah.
So, throw them all on there. So that does us no good. Mm-hmm. A consumer saying, I want American beef, that's not what they want. Mm-hmm.
Unless it was a local one that could specifically put American, right?
Yeah, but your average Joe shopper looking at the aisle of beef, that's not telling them, well, I want American beef. You gotta be dedicated. Mm-hmm. And I will say that you gotta be dedicated. You gotta go find a country natural beef, or you gotta be in a Whole Foods store, or Harris Farms, is local here. You kind of have to look at that stuff. The average label is not going to tell you a whole lot, which is another thing about your government in action. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm getting out on the weeds here, but typical label tells you next to nothing, and it's because the people that do labeling are pretty much throwing up their hands. Well, we can't agree to anything, so we're not going to put anything. Mm-hmm. future version of MCOOL as inside, there's been a fairly concerted push by packers, feeders, people like that in the country 150 days.
Oh, okay.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that, so that's news to me.
Yep. Yep.
So if it's
And that could, I don't know that would be the final version. Might not make it, but it might.
Slightly better, because then we know it's in the hands of Americans for a while.
So that
Right.
changes the 24-hour rule?
For the imports?
Yeah, what is the...
No, that
Oh,
would
wait, is
change.
it live cattle or, sorry,
Yeah, live cattle.
if they're here for 150 days,
Oh.
if they've got an M brand or a C brand on it, then it could be sold as American.
Made in America.
Okay. I like that it includes more of an American chain there, right? Because we're employing American people doing that.
Well, and it would cut some of the cost of it, the
Mhm.
tracking costs. But yeah, I mean, is that what consumers are thinking though?
I know that's a tough one.
And see, this is the thing to me is, if we're going to do that, I want the shopper to look at a label that says "Made in USA" and know that it was grown here,
Mm-hmm.
or somewhere like here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That there was somebody like me that raised that, or like you that raised that animal.
Absolutely.
I don't want it to come here for 150 days.
Okay.
That doesn't work for me.
Okay.
So I don't think, the average shopper will know that.
They wouldn't know the difference. It was moving better in the right direction.
Yeah. But see,
Yeah.
this is my thing too.
Mhm.
And I mean, we got off beef chicken. I'm sorry, back.
Oh no, we'll go back.
on.
No,
But-
get back to my uncool.
But this is why I'm important as well, because
Mhm.
this is the way government works. This is the way democracy works. is
Mhm.
We want what we want,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, we're going to get what everybody wants, which may be what nobody wants.
Yeah, and I think, like, if I had to push it to a bureaucrat or something, I would push it all on the import side, because I think when they're processing that beef, they don't have the same rules we do. The labor laws, the cost for employees is
Mhm.
probably a lot lower, and so I think it would help balance the scales just a little bit, make us a little more competitive. If they're even just processing it over there, half the time it's boxed beef, so American
Yeah,
workers aren't being paid to.
I wish I knew the percentage of imports that are actually boxed beef as far
Mhm.
as
What the
as
difference
far
is.
as consumer ready,
Mm-hmm.
but it's pretty small.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just thinking it's not an American being employed if they're doing it
Mhm.
over there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's so much of it, like you said, the inspection process that doesn't come with that.
Mm-hmm.
That it's pretty minimal, that amount of beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more the grind type stuff, carcass type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but I don't know if we said this either. But when we're talking about that kind of traceability, this is the other thing is, people don't seem to realize it. If we're going to have that kind of traceability, I think I want, if it's going to be mandatory,
Mm-hmm.
that I want consumers to know that, if it says "Made in the USA," it was born here.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to require a mandatory ID tag on everything.
Make sure it's born here.
How can it not?
I know.
You don't hear that from anybody, but
Mhm.
to my mind, how can it not?
Well, how would it? Could we? Because they have to be mandatory branded to come across the border, don't they? So we have to have a mandatory at either the M or the C brand if it's coming in live. And so wouldn't that traceability maybe fall on the foreign country? Because those are our two, right? We've got Canada or Mexico. Those are our two borders that come across live.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing: we're trusting,
Foreign.
agency folks. We're
Mhm.
trusting agency.
Now we're
folks
pushing it onto them.
to say, okay, we're going to trust you,
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, to put the M on.
Not sneak, don't sneak any cattle across the border.
Well, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going to trust you, border feeders. Make sure those cattle you're receiving
Mm-hmm.
have the M.
Could they have?
Or-
Could we force them to have mandatory ID?
Or else, that's where I'm going. Or
Mhm.
else we're going to have inspectors there. It's the way things go. When they're making these kind of rules, sitting around the table, well, why don't we just make everybody's mandatory?
Yeah. No. No. Just for
Hey, yeah, that's a good idea. That we can track all of them.
Yeah, and I don't love that because I think
I-
people who invested it should get it, and
There you go.
so
I
we have
don't
agreement there.
believe that. I don't believe that in any world it will come out that way. That's
I
my
know.
point.
And I keep seeing, like, just reading the cards again, it's pushing more and more that they're going to make us all mandatory ID. So, but if I had my way, I would make Mexico and Canada do their mandatory ID if they're coming across the border. We'd wand their trailer as they come across, and
And I think they would be all for that because they can. It's just like when we do it. They can choose to do that.
Yep.
And
same as when we export. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think that's where I'd meet you on that one. If I had my way, that's what I'd do. I don't know. I think they're going to keep pushing for us all to be.
I think if there is another version of MCOOL, absolutely will be every animal.
It would give them. It would give them a reason.
And there's people in whichever agency USDA think we should right now anyway.
So it would give them open the door for them.
Yep.
Okay, that's a very good point, John. Really good.
Back to beef checkoff. So why did beef checkoff pick up the ball on country of origin labeling? Was that kind of your question?
Well, so I was kind of thinking on that but I also thought, okay, maybe they don't have to do the label for American beef for our ranchers, but could they promote American specific beef? Well, then when I looked into it, it said they can't discriminate based on country of origin or the type of beef, grass-fed versus grain-fed. So they can just say, eat beef, pretty much.
See, this is...
it's beef, what's for dinner?
Beef, what's for dinner?
This is the unholy alliance between government and whatever you want to call the beef checkoff as an entity, and packers, feeders, stockers, cow calf. That's the product of all that. Packers and feeders don't want us to have the ability to say, hey, sort out this American stuff. Hey, look harder for that American stuff. Because they're feeding it all. It's us at our level that want them to find our beef.
And they do pay into the checkoff, right? So they have, it's like half of what, or 50 cents per 600 pounds or something like that. And we pay $1 per head, right? So they do pay into it. So I see where we don't want to discriminate. But
I would offer that, I mean, they don't pay enough, in my opinion. But I would offer that even if they didn't pay at all, it'd still be this way because of their influence.
Yeah, that's the problem I'm having with it right now. Between that, like, why can't we push for American beef? Because when you say, like, it generically, like, eat beef, which I love beef, but if you can't discriminate based on the type of beef, it'd be like me saying drink water. Like, okay, well, if I drink out of a puddle, it's not good water.
Yeah.
So I wish it could be either revamped or maybe look at a different way. And then I got an article where we can say eat American beef in foreign countries. It's been a big part of beef checkoff for pushing for American beef in foreign countries. And I'm wondering where the line was. Like, why can we say that internationally, but we can't say it here at home?
Well, I mean, it's a fair point. Here's the argument, though. You can sell your cattle into a program that will advertise almost to you specific. Not really, but at least you and I together, this valley together, this state together. Not only American beef, but Western beef.
Yeah. Nevada beef.
Yeah. and we can get paid for it. I mean, by that I mean a premium.
Yeah.
Or we cannot do it.
Oh, okay. And it's up to you on it, right?
It's up to me. Up to you. Yep.
Okay. So it puts it in our hands instead of putting it into like a bureaucratic hand.
Yes.
So I guess the only thing on checkoff is that it takes your money as a tax.
Right.
But you don't get
but
a
the
say.
thing is, yeah, you're right about that. But the thing you're saying is push all American beef, which is I get the merit in that, and I want people to look harder for it. I get that, but I don't see a clear path where we get paid for that.
Like I said, my goal is to promote America and what we have, and if we can make it a little harder on the imports where it's not so accessible or so like cheaper, easy, I think it would help at least our cow-calf, those type people to get a better premium is what I was hoping to accomplish.
Yeah, that's fair. To me, I'm gonna lay it all on the table right now. We are the most progressive. We are the best producers of beef in the world, bar none.
Yes.
Nobody's even close. I don't care what anybody says.
No, I agree.
But we are not all created equal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, there's regional reasons why.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just because you're a good cattleman and I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
It's, and there's some of that too, by the way,
Yeah.
but also there's, if you have to have your cattle or whatever breed you kind of have to have that may not perform as well in the meat case
Mm-hmm.
as your traditional English cattle. There's those kind of differences, but then there's, when you think about the average herd size in America being 50 head or less, those people aren't making their living off those cattle.
Mm-mm.
They're getting supplemental income for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but they can afford to have whatever, Scottish Highlander or whatever, I'm not dissing on those, but I'm, not traditional beef breeds.
Mm-hmm.
There's a component of those cattle that aren't going to eat as well as what a lot of people are making.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't all be lumped in the same pot.
Yeah. Kind of my water and puddle thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so.
Yeah. And the percentage of, don't take it to mean that, just here in Elko County.
Yeah, we got some bad stuff. No. But.
Elko County is producing the best beef in the world and everybody else, is second
Mm-hmm.
on where. No, but still, I want the ability for you and I to be able to differentiate ourselves
Mm-hmm.
from the rest of even our Americans.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And when you say just go buy American beef, that
It's
cuts
kind of
into
almost
my
as generic as.
yeah, it cuts into my
Mm-hmm.
ability, your ability to do that.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that's a good point. Like, I'll have to stew on that some more because it does kind of make it a little more generic. And the same point I had for beef checkoff. Like, if I say drink water, and same thing.
The last thing about that is when I say that our beef is safe,
Mm-hmm.
I mean our beef that we import too.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing of it is if we say our American beef is safe, but I don't know about the rest of it. Well, they're all coming out of the same place,
Mm-hmm.
same 4 places,
Mm-hmm.
right now. And maybe maybe that won't always be the case, but we have to be a little bit careful about that.
So, when they cross the border, I'd seen that it's kind of like risk inspected, right? As they're bringing beef
Mm-hmm.
across the border. Does it get inspected again once it's repackaged?
I'm not going to answer that because I don't know for sure.
It just popped in my head, so I don't know the answer either. But I was like, wait a minute. If it has to get repackaged, would the USDA inspector have to look at it a second time once it goes through there? Or is it just repackaged and clear? So
I don't know the answer.
I'll
to
look
that.
into it.
Yeah,
That's
that'd be a
interesting.
good question. I'd
Yeah.
like to know too.
Yeah. Because, yeah. So just looking at the risk inspected side of it, I'd seen
Mhm.
like they risk inspect about 12% of it gets turned back and about 7-8% of it is actually inspected, right?
Yeah.
So, that was just like a little bit of a red flag for me as far as imports, right? But if it gets re-inspected when it gets repackaged, that'd make me change my tune a little bit. So interesting. Anyways, so that was my beef checkoff. What other hot topic do we have, John?
Welcome to the Jon Griggs and Sadie Schick show. For educational purposes.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I have questions, and John's got some answers for me,
He has some answers.
and good
He does,
perspectives.
yes.
Like, so I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
Well, what else did we have? So we had the Tyson plant closing.
Mm-hmm.
What are we thinking on that? Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So, first interesting thing about that is Tyson plant closed. The futures board went up.
Oh, okay.
Why?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't know why. One thing I do know is that the people trading every day depend on volatility to make money,
Mm-hmm.
up or down.
Okay.
That had to play in there somehow, but I don't know why. But you would think news of a Tyson plant showing down
Mm-hmm.
didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Losing capacity will definitely ripple down to us at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't, unless there's more of that, just that plant, I don't think is going to hurt us a whole lot where we are right now.
Gotcha. So going to the futures board, how
Mhm.
savvy are you on that? Because that's something I'm having a difficult time
gosh.
understanding.
I can give you the 900,000 foot level view of it.
Okay. Yeah, because so the futures board, does it cover boxed beef prices? Is that what they're betting on? Are we betting on?
So you can go feeder cattle, which is cattle going into a feedlot,
Okay, so you're
800 pounders
okay,
roughly.
and it's what their price
That's a
is.
contract. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a contract. You can go fed cattle, which is cattle going into the packing plant.
Okay.
You know, whatever they are, 12 to 1,500 pounds.
Okay.
You can go box beef.
Okay. So there's 3 different futures, and
There's probably 1 or 2 more I'm not thinking of, but
so when you said they went up, it was all 3 of them went up when that plant news came out.
feeder, and fed cattle. And
Okay.
box beef might have, but I don't pay much attention.
Oh, okay. So feeder and fed cattle. And so that kind of determines what the buyers are going to be paying at the sale a little bit. It trickles down.
Well, that determines, so the people that buy our cattle, that determines what they can pay for them,
Mm-hmm.
because they can hedge their risk with the board.
Okay.
And then we're about to get down to the 40,000 foot level where I'm going to get lost.
Okay.
But yeah, people are buying our cattle, especially if we're selling yearlings. They can hedge their risk on the board. You know, guarantee a price that they can sell them for.
Okay.
So that they can hold their money together and know what they can give to us.
Do we know how they get those numbers? Is it everybody reports what they paid and then we're kind of like, oh, this is what they're kind of paying everywhere? Or
get which numbers?
For the board numbers. So
the board numbers are what they're bidding in the exchange.
In the exchange. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily what they're paying for the live cattle.
No.
Okay. See, that's where it gets me off.
No, it's the other way around. Live cattle prices, to some extent, are reflected by the board price.
Okay.
And sometimes they, overlap.
Yeah. I might have to get a diagram. That's a tricky one for me. I've had a hard time getting it understood.
It's really tough. I may have said a whole bunch of things wrong, but I think we're pretty close.
That's okay. We're both confused. Oh, did you see Nevada became a state-inspected state just recently?
Yeah. Yep.
So I thought that could be exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Yep. We at Maggie Creek Ranch have and continue to sell a few locker beef. Mm-hmm. Have always struggled with, what to do with them as far as harvesting and hanging them up and that process from when they're harvested to when they get to the consumer. Mm-hmm. And this will definitely make it easier. Yeah,
maybe open up some more facilities here.
Yep.
And from what I read on it, it sounds like for a USDA inspected facility, you have the USDA official there the entire time, right? Mm-hmm. Through the whole process.
Yep.
It sounds like the state inspected one, they'll need to be there on maybe kill days and maybe risk-based inspection.
Right.
And as long as you're selling within the boundaries of the state, then you can sell direct to consumer.
Yeah, and there's another level of that will let you go. Is it intrastate? Outside of state.
Oh, okay.
At least that was the version I saw. I don't know if it ended up that way, but that was going to be the version I saw.
Okay. I really do like the idea of, I'd be okay personally with a little less inspection if I could be close enough to have a conversation with whoever did it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
You got to be real careful with saying less inspection. But as you've outlined it, I'm comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because I feel like if I had a problem with the product, then I could follow up on it a lot easier. But if I had gotten something shipped in from, say, New York, clear over there, nothing against theirs, but how do I have a conversation or rectify any situation if my beef traveled that far? It makes it a lot more difficult, I guess, in that way. I
agree. The other component of that is, the example in my mind is, I got to go on a cattleman's tour in 2002, June of 2002, after September of 2001. Mm-hmm. First time I'd flown since everything changed because of 9/11. And I flew all the way across the country, several different airports to get to Washington, D.C. By far the most thorough best done TSA check that I went through was where? Elko, Nevada.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Why? Because that guy lives here.
Yeah.
And not only that, but if I'm a terrorist, they're going to say, "Hey, you."
Yeah.
Not "Hey, you."
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
General, you right there. You're not.
So
local.
so
No,
same
different.
thing. So same thing when your inspector is part of your community.
Absolutely. And you take
Say,
away
"Hey,
some of the red
I
tape.
got sick,
Mm-hmm.
George.
Yeah.
What the heck?"
That's exactly. I think you said it a lot better than I did, but that's the exact point I was trying to make with it. Is there's repercussions for sure. Like if I'm not doing good business, no one's going to come to me anymore. I'm here local.
But even the inspector, I mean.
Yeah. So I think instead of less inspection, maybe less red tape. It's kind of what I was going for.
Yeah.
So it's inspected. We know they're doing a good job. We know the guy who's doing it. He's our friend down the road.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can trust that, or at least have a conversation with him if he didn't do a good job, or he could lose my business and it would actually affect him. Versus these giant companies where it's a little harder to follow up on.
Bingo. So you were same page there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So I thought that was exciting news, and I think they rolled that out November 25th or something. So at least announced it. So that was exciting.
It is.
A round of applause for you.
Yes. Yes. I feel like we found a lot of agreement, or at least understanding. So I'm pretty excited.
Yep.
I also saw sage-grouse was delisted. Another thing with like just red tape,
I don't know that will stick. I think it'll get sued back into existence.
You think so?
Yeah. But really, I don't. Really, for us producers, I think the way it is right now takes threat away from us. Not really. There's not any really day-to-day changes right now that we're going to notice, but it takes threat away from us.
Yeah.
Oh,
because
so like conservation credits
and
any kind of restrictions any land management agency might have on us, those will stay where they are. But a threat of you can't put up a solar panel on a solar road well because that's a perch for a raptor to eat a sage-grouse. Those kind of things will get easier, and they won't get harder, at least for now.
Yeah, it seems like at least a positive for a while. Like you said, if it gets sued back in, I'm not against. I don't want them to die per se. I just don't know that I believe that cows affect them that much. So.
I believe what's good for the herd is good for the bird.
I'm with you there. So I just wonder, so little wins, just another thing that's kind of been going on that I'm like, we're having a pretty decent year, really. What else do we have, Michelle?
I don't know. I think we need to let John go. His knees hurting, his back's hurting.
He's fine. We're taking
all his time. He's supposed to be shipping cows.
I enjoy lively conversations. Really good.
I had a good time, John.
Thank you, John.
Yes.
Great to be with you guys.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate the conversation.